Hey, good morning, everybody. And by everybody, I mean nobody. Oh, producer JoJo's here. Okay. YouTube is just broken. It just is. It's working, though. It's just not telling me anything I need to know. It's not letting me share the links. It's not. And hopefully people are getting notifications. I see Marcy here. Hi, Marcy. So hopefully people are getting notifications, and if not, they'll find out later. So I don't have COVID. It's good news. Everybody else has COVID right now. And we're going through another wave. We just don't know it yet officially. Just anecdotally, all the peoples, everybody seems to have COVID right now. A lot of people are asymptomatic and not testing or doing home tests, so the numbers, of course, are skewed. Hi, Phil. Okay, so I guess the notification went through. So one of the interesting things that's happened in the last couple of days is that Donald Trump did an interview on Newsmax. And I only knew about it because I saw one tweet about something he said, so it appears he's pretty much irrelevant. Some of his endorsed candidates are winning, some of them are not. We shall see what happens come November, and the Biden administration is just doing an absolutely terrible job getting the messaging out. They just don't know how to do it. They have focus groups and they pick up like on Super Mega King and Ultra Mega. Nobody cares. Remember, these are the deplorables that made t-shirts that said, "I'm a deplorable," and made profit on them. It's just not the way it works. At random, speak of the devil. The devil has COVID. And hopefully she's doing a little bit better today than yesterday. Hopefully the fever has broken. Jojo says, Marcy, it took me 5 today, Marcy. So lame. Oh, to get the Wordle. I got the Wordle today in 4. So, and the word is simply, it's when you get it, you'll understand what I'm about to say. I don't want to ruin it for anyone any more than the Wordle is ruined every day. Once again, spoiler alert, the Wordle is not penis. Someday it will be, and I will continue to play that first word. Phil says we have to start masking up again at work again. Must be masked at all times. Probably smart. I mean, probably should never have stopped masking. There will be variants that come down the line over and over again, and at some point we're going to get hit with a variant that's really, really nasty. Sorry, just the way it is. Let's see. Thursday Tennis got COVID in Seattle. Mary from Thursday Tennis got Mary from Thursday Tennis. I don't know if I know Mary. Anyway, someone from tennis got COVID in Seattle. There's a lot of Seattle COVID going around, a lot of Los Angeles COVID going around. Last Sunday, not this previous Sunday, but the Sunday before that, I was on a video shoot, and my scene partner in the video shoot, he ended up testing positive with COVID. I gave him a COVID test at lunchtime. That was actually about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock. Luckily, most of our scenes were done, and even luckier, I didn't get it. So I've been testing on a daily basis, had a couple of PCR tests. As well, people who are getting PCR tests before they're symptomatic are testing positive, and then once they get symptoms, then they're testing positive with the home test. So get yourself PCR tested if you've been exposed. The PCR test is far more sensitive, and we've known this. That's the way it is. If you're feeling any symptoms, do the at-home test. If it tests positive, you're positive. There's false negatives with the home test. False positives are extremely rare, like 1%. If the home test says you have it, you got it. That's the way it is. Daisy's friend. Oh, that Mary. I do know that Mary. I hope she's okay. Yeah, how is, let's check in with At Random here. At Random, how are you feeling today? Who else? Does anybody else in the group, in the chat room today have the COVIDs and know about it? Producer JoJo is trying desperately not to catch COVIDs because she's supposed to leave the country, and you don't want to do that when you have the COVIDs. So Trump was on Newsmax just a couple of days ago. Before we cover that, I want to talk about the January 6th hearings. Remember Rusty Bowers, a hero from yesterday, the Speaker of the House in Arizona. He came out and said, God wrote the Constitution, and I will not turn my back on my Lord and personal trainer, Jesus Christ, because the Constitution was written under divine providence, and I am a man of principle. Would I vote for Trump again after he forced me to go against God? Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah. I hesitate to use the word hero because he's not a hero. But at least, but why would you put that man in charge again? The guy who called you and pressured you to do things that were A, illegal, B, impossible, C, against the core fiber of your being. Yeah, I'd vote for him. Oh yeah, compared to Biden? Yeah, did you see that guy fall off his bike? I don't get it. By the way, YouTube, if you're watching, I do not believe that the 2020 election was stolen. Okay? I also believe strongly in COVID vaccines and in wearing a mask and in science in general. At Random says fever broke, no more body aches. Still, oh, that's good. The body aches are a pain. Still have a cough, congestion, and next level fatigue. That should be a video game. Next level fatigue. Oh, and she's got a sore throat. So I have that. I can actually store things in my throat. I did something with my kids when they were growing up called throat gambling, and we'll discuss that another day. Throat gambling when you're a grown-up is very, very different. Yeah. Let's just take a look. We're not going to watch the whole. This is from Newsmax. We're not going to watch the whole interview. We're going to watch bits and pieces. If you want to see it, please go to Newsmax yourself, and you can see it at newsmax.com. So this is Trump with Eric Bolling the other day. Eric's a favorite of Trump, and Trump has done several interviews with him.
A bicycle, sir, yet.
Okay, you're not going to be able to hear that, or maybe you are, or there's going to be echoes. Let me adjust. Let me see if it comes into my ears as it's supposed to. Nothing's working today.
Again.
There he is. Okay, can you guys hear that? Did you guys hear a little bit of Eric there? I think you did. Let me test.
Falling up.
Yep, well, that's super loud. Much louder than the congressional hearings. Let me adjust it in my ears. You would think a professional would do all of this before the broadcast. Here's the problem. I can't. Because YouTube is not showing me the upcoming broadcasts, which it always has before until now.
Up stairs at Air Force One. Is this...
And start the interview off. Start the interview with Donald Trump off with Biden falling off his bicycle. I bet they don't show him hopping up right away and talking to Americans. I bet they don't.
Man fit to run the country?
Yep. And he falls down.
Well, I'd like to say that I hope so.
Got his toes stuck in the toe straps.
Oh, I bet everybody has
Or the foot straps or whatever you call them. He wasn't wearing bicycle shoes, I don't think. Cycling shoes.
their opinions, so I won't get into that. But obviously,
yeah, they don't show him getting up. They just show him falling off the horse.
the country's doing terribly. If you look at the withdrawal from Afghanistan, the way they did it was so terrible.
We are no longer at war with Afghanistan. Something Trump promised over and over and over again. We are going to get out of the war in Afghanistan in 2016. He promised this. Never did. Failed. Promises broken. Biden gets in. We're out of here. 13 Americans, 13 brave Americans, and many more maimed. 13 Americans killed by ISIS-X, which was comprised mostly of prisoners that Trump released from jail.
It should have been done with strength and dignity, but the way they did that, and inflation and the economy and everything. I mean, no matter what you look at, the
economy has 3.6% unemployment. That's fantastic. 11 million open jobs. That's fantastic for the workers.
Ukraine war would have...
God forbid the middle and lower class have options. Oh, no, gas is $5 instead of $4. Okay. So, let's say you get 25 miles to the gallon and you want to go to grandma's house. How far away does she live? Let's say she lives an hour away. So you're paying $2 more. But now you have a job. Okay. Is $5 gas fun for any? No. It's not fun I don't like it. I don't buy a lot of gas. I have a car that runs on hydrogen because I live in one of the smart states. My car's practically free. Technically, I do have a car that runs on gas, and I have filled it up once in the last 3 months, but I'm lucky enough to have access to the other cars. So it's worked out so far. But at some point, we have to buy another car, and there's very few options out there at a reasonable price for me. That's inflation. That's supply and demand.
Never happened.
By the way, Consumer Reports just ranked the 3 worst SUVs, electric SUVs, Number 3, the Tesla X. That's the expensive. They're all expensive. That's the big Tesla SUV. Number 2, the Audi e-tron, whatever, 5,600, whatever. And then number 1, the Tesla Model Y, which is the smaller of the Teslas. So Tesla gets absolutely terrible reliability ratings. It's gone from the best company in terms of reliability to a couple of years later, it's now the worst electric car company, the second worst company overall in terms of reliability. So yeah, Elon's a genius. Tesla is going to tumble. Tesla, but in a couple of years, Volkswagen. Remember the guys with ClimateGate? Volkswagen is going, I should call it Emissions Gate, I guess. There's so many climate gates. Volkswagen is going to overtake Tesla in terms of electric car production. Followed shortly thereafter by Hyundai or Kia or the combination of both. They're actually the same company. There will be a huge fall in Tesla's price in terms of the stock. So if the stock market rallies at all and goes up a little bit, get rid of your Tesla stock.
The Russia going into Ukraine.
The number 1 reliability rating for SUVs, I don't know. I just looked at the bottom.
Would have never.
Does anybody have Consumer Reports? Can look that up?
Ever happened, Derek. I think you know that. And so many other things. It looks like China's starting.
Did he call him Derek or Eric? Hold on. I think it was Eric. It was just the way he said it.
Ukraine war would have never happened. The Russia going into Ukraine would have never, ever happened, Derek. I think you know that.
It was, happened, Eric.
And so many other things. It looks like China's starting up. The Iran deal now would have been.
Hi, Eve. How you doing?
We would have had a deal done within a week after the election, and now it's going to be, if there's a deal, which I doubt, it's going to be a horrible deal. They're on their way to being a nuclear power, which you cannot let happen. You cannot let that happen. So it's a very sad.
It's low energy Trump today. Very low energy.
It's a very sad time for our country. We're no longer.
It's a very sad time for our country. You just can't let it happen. You can't let it happen. You just can't.
Longer respected as a country, and I don't think we've ever been this low.
Yeah, Mr. President, you and I.
Well, at least he's sticking to quantitative facts, things that can be measured easily. So that's good. Oh, let's see. My daughter got the Wordle in 3. That bitch.
Years ago, 10, 12, 15 years ago, you and I used to talk about the energy business on interviews when I was at Fox, and I filled up 18 gallons of regular yesterday, Mr. President. 18 gallons, $99. Yes. And I have sticker shock. I could not believe it.
Okay.
And it's not just me, it's every American when they pull up to the pump. And
why are you shocked? Have you not heard about gas prices lately? You really should start watching Fox. He was fired from Fox, by the way.
You know, these little stickers of pictures of Biden going, I did that. It's about the only thing.
Gas has come down this last week, by the way. It's below $5 a gallon now.
He has accomplished in a year and a half is drive up the price of fuel and food. What are we in for the next couple of years?
Well, I think it all started with the energy. We were at $1.87. If you think of that, $1.87 a gallon, and now you're going to be for gasoline. You're going to be at. I used to say 5, 6, 7. I think it's going to be much higher than that ultimately. But it's.
So you were wrong.
Not sustainable, and now we're going to Venezuela. You're getting them indirectly from Russia and from Iran, going to Saudi Arabia, which he said he'd never do. And
yeah, U.S. has had a cheaper gas than a lot of countries. Not as cheap as Venezuela.
Whether you,
I mean, if the GOP wants to privatize gas companies, then great. Now Biden's saying we need a gas tax holiday. Why isn't Biden doing anything to help the everyday Americans, the hardworking Americans? Okay, we'll lower the price by 18 cents a gallon. And if you've got an $18 tank, that is, do the math with me here. Let's see, 18 times 18, $3.24 every time you fill up over the course of a year. You fill up an average of 1.6 times a year, so it's 52 times 1.6. So that's going to save you $26,000. I'm throwing in numbers here. But yeah, that certainly helps the average American family. That's more than the average American family makes. It's not. But that's the kind. The Republicans are going to vote against it. Jim Jordan is going to vote against it because it's just temporary. Plus, Biden is trying to convince many states to drop their state tax as well, which, for example, gas in California is very expensive because the tax in California, I think, is $14 per gallon.
Agree with that or not? It's just ridiculous. But more importantly, it's right under our feet. We have liquid gold right under our feet.
Eve drives a 2012 hatchback Mini Cooper. What kind of mileage do you get out of that? Because I remember looking at the Coopers, the Mini Coopers, and thinking, boy, that should get 35, 40 miles to the gallon. And it was significantly lower that, like 27 or 28. What kind of mileage are you getting in that thing, Eve?
And we were taking it like never before, and now we're begging.
We were taking it? What?
Ridiculous, but more importantly, it's right under our feet. We have liquid gold right under our feet. And we were taking it like never before, and now we're...
33 miles, that's pretty good. That's not bad. It's not fantastic, but it's pretty good, Eve. Especially for a car that drives like a BMW.
Begging other countries to give it to us, but they're going green, and green isn't powerful enough. It can't fire up our plant. Not even close.
Green is very powerful. Electric energy has no delay. There's no combustion that needs to take place. There's no compression, no spark plugs needed. Green is instantaneous torque. He's obviously never driven a Tesla. When was the last time Trump drove anything? Yeah, he gets in the trucks and he pretends to beep beep and rrr, rrr, rrr. I don't know the last time Trump drove anything. Whereas Biden's out there test driving those electric vehicles. Remember, he was test driving the Hummer, test drove the Lightning, zoomed around in the Lightning, like scared his passenger. He was so fast. He loves them cars.
Mr. President, you need to take a little victory lap right here because I spent
the
better part of 15 years in the oil business before coming to TV, and never, ever, ever in my time there did I see a price of a barrel of oil go to zero and under your watch. We had so much oil in this country.
Yeah, he'd take a victory lap because of COVID. Good job with COVID there, getting the oil prices down to zero. Oh, and then remember how you said you were going to replenish the national stockpile? But didn't. Never did. Now would be a wonderful time to replenish the national... No, did write something up in some Sharpie. I don't know if it was in Sharpie. Gave it to the wrong department.
The price of a barrel of oil was zero. They were actually looking to pay people to store some oil.
Right, during COVID.
Never, ever before. But now, we're as you point out, Biden's go over to Saudi Arabia and beg the sheiks, these trillionaire oil sheiks, to pump more.
As opposed to the billionaire oil companies here in the United States? He's begging them to produce more too, and they have produced more. In 2009, did a little math a few minutes ago. Biden right now is producing more oil in the United States than Trump did in 40 of the 48 months Trump was in office.
More oil for us.
Well, I'm glad you remember. We had oil down to actually...
Possibly 41 or 42. We don't know the exact figure for June yet. We don't even know May yet. But you can go to the EIA, which is the official logging of the oil, all the oil stuff. Energy Information Agency. Go there and look it up. We are producing more oil right now in this country than Trump did in 40 of his 48 months. What is that then? Okay, hold on, because that's a tough one to do. It's going to be close to 82%. Let's find out what it actually is. 40 divided by 48. 83%. Wow, was I off? I am so sorry, guys. God, I'm an idiot.
It was plus $37, meaning if you took a barrel of oil, they would give you $37 with the barrel. That was only for a period of an hour and a half.
And you didn't take any of them. We could have made a $37 profit per barrel of oil, and you didn't do it.
But that was a hell of a time. But you couldn't be a Wall Street guy because you actually had to take the oil. You had to get rid of it. And if you remember...
Had to get rid of it.
Remember, it was in that period of time that I filled up the strategic reserves, which were...
He didn't. He never did. Never happened.
Largely empty for 4 decades.
They weren't empty. Not even close.
And I filled them up, and now he's using that for gasoline and for heating oil and for all of the other...
That's good, if that's what's happening. That's not what's happening, but that's good that we're using the strategic energy reserve as a time when gas is setting record prices, not in terms of inflation or wage growth. We've been higher before, but it's good. That's what it's for. That's why we have those strategic reserves.
Other things which you're not supposed to do, but that's just a drop in the bucket. But I bought 75 million barrels of
I mean, technically it's a drop in the barrel, but okay, let's not quibble.
Oil when it was very low. But they literally would pay you to take. That's how much we did. Now, I had to save the oil companies, too, so we got it up a little bit. But we were at $1.87.
He had to save the oil companies.
$1.76. We had incredible for the people drive cars.
He's just making up numbers now.
Cars and trucks and everything else. Look at
nobody was driving their cars and trucks then. Remember when you shut the country down?
Diesel fuel. Look at jet fuel. The cost of it is not, in my opinion, not sustainable. And I think that's what...
though he has a good point. I went to fill up my jet the other day. Oh my God, painful. There's a little sticker on the pump where I got my aviation fuel. Biden did this, right?
What caused inflation?
As an average hardworking American, it really hit me close to home.
And then all of a sudden, everything else started going up. But I think that was the primary cause of it. That was a shock to the system when it went from less than $2 to 5, 6, 7, 8, even 9.
I mean, okay.
9 and 10. I'm saying it's terrible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and now, Mr. President,
it's less than $5 a gallon now.
There's something like 10,000 cattle died last week because of allegedly heat exhaustion, whatever.
Right. It got so hot so quickly that the cattle system could not handle that, and they died.
But
happens to humans too. This is not an unknown thing. But cows are not particularly adept to adapting to rapid temperatures. Really, I mean, very sad because, I mean, think of all that delicious hamburger.
I did a little research.
I don't know if I haven't been able to find out if those cattle are going to be slaughtered and used for their meat. I really hope so.
China has
use every part of the bison.
Purchased over the last few years, has been quietly purchasing a lot of our meat processing plants. They own the largest pork producer in America. China does, Smithfield Foods, and they bought that a couple of years ago.
Under who? Who allowed that to happen quietly? Who was putting tariffs on China at the time, but allowed them to buy Smith? Who did that? That must have been under Carter. We hate Carter. Boo! Stop building those houses, Jimmy.
Quietly buying this up, but they're not buying it for our consumption. They're buying it for their own. Should we be concerned that China may have some nefarious eyes on our food supply?
Well, always.
Well, they brought in the swine flu, which Biden absolutely bungled. He used to call it anyone H1.
But when I did a deal with China for the farmers and the manufacturers. It was
which, by the way, China has not lived up to their deal. 5 to 10% is what China has actually purchased after Trump let him off the hook. We still have Trump's tariffs. You know what? The biggest reason that not the biggest, but one of, this is subjective, but the oil companies, their executives are like saying, we'd love to build refineries, but that steel is so expensive with those tariffs. Who put the tariffs on?
Unbelievable deal. And then COVID came along, and frankly, I don't even talk about the deal.
It was an unbelievable deal because it didn't happen.
But it made our farmers very, very solid. I took out $28 billion out of the taxes and tariffs that I was charging China. Nobody else charged them literally 10 cents.
They didn't pay that. The brokers bringing in the goods pay that.
They didn't pay.
And the prices were passed along to the American consumers.
10 cents to come in and do that to our country. But I got hundreds of billions of dollars, and I gave $28 billion to our farmers because they were treated so unjustly by China. And the farmers remember it very well. Every time I see it, I said, and when the deal was signed, because they bought tremendous amounts, they had to under the...
No, they didn't, and they aren't, because they found alternative sources for soybeans, for wheat, etc. Things are changing now because, of course, the wheat basket of the world, a big part of it is in Ukraine and Russia, and that food is now being pulled out of the system. So there are billions and billions of bushels in Ukraine that have not been harvested. because it takes trains to take them to the ports, and the ports are under Russian control or bombardment. And so there's just all this waste in Ukraine. They can't harvest the current crop because there's nowhere to put it. The silos are full, and they might get one train through every couple of days. They need a constant rail of train cars just to the coast. But again, they can't use the coast. It's an absolute mess. But anyway, China found alternate sources for a lot of its commodities, and they just never have come back to the United States. So the farmers are hurting. Record farm bankruptcies under Trump. Record farm foreclosures under Trump. Record farmer suicides under Trump.
The agreement, but they bought tremendous. I said, you go out and buy more land and larger tractors. That's all you have to do is more land and larger tractors. And I was right.
He was not right.
But no, you can't rely on China to make America great again. That I can tell you.
You know, I got to tell.
So the wheat farmers here, theoretically, will do quite well this year. We can certainly hope so.
You know, and the reason why I was jumping up and down in 2015, 2016, you know, saying you got to put Donald Trump in office, we needed a businessman in there. We needed someone, we needed a Donald Trump to show.
You know, the guy who made all the deals that the other party just reneged on. We need that.
Politician.
You know, the guy who put tariffs on thought that the other country was paying them when it turns out that it was American brokers and passing the costs along to American consumers, and then had American manufacturing go into contraction before COVID. Before COVID. The guy who promised GDP growth of 4, 5, 6%, I don't want to say more because I don't want the media in here to say that I got it wrong, never got even close. Well, before COVID hit, we were at 2.4% GDP. 2.4. When he came into office, it was 3.3. Squeezed it down to 2.4, and then COVID.
To make the economy work, and boy, did you ever. You know, I'm thinking back in January of 2021, Biden was touting his stock market accomplishments, and you and I both know that had nothing to do with Biden policy. That was Donald Trump, a continuation of the Donald Trump policies,
which were a continuation of Obama's policies. So, I mean, the stock market tripled under Obama, and then it absolutely cratered when Trump downplayed COVID.
Interestingly, Mr. President, last week when the market was crashing,
and now it's coming back up again. Let's check in to see how it's doing today. Hold on. DGIA. It is up 55 so far today. Let's look at the 5 days. There we go. So low back on Thursday of last week. We hit 29, just under 30,000. Now we're 30,500. So we're talking about a 600-700 point gain. So yeah. Anyway, so what were you saying about right now?
Biden says to the AFL-CIO, he says, "Oh, I don't care about the stock market." What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Trump said he didn't follow the stock market. He doesn't pay attention to it. That's what he said. Do I even have that? I have that on my phone. I don't know if I have that to show you guys. Just trust me.
Well, you're right about the market. We had it going. We had the greatest economy in the history of the world. And
it's absolute nonsense. Complete and absolute nonsense.
And we really had it, and especially just prior to COVID or the China virus coming in. We had the greatest ever. And then we built it back, and I actually had the stock market higher than it was even before COVID. And then they destroyed it. But it coasted for a year and a half. You know, you can't destroy things that fast. And now
they didn't destroy it. It's now higher than it was when Donald Trump left office. Just slightly. And it might go lower again. It'll go higher again. I should have to look at again with the DGIA. Hold on. 30,005, right about where it was when Trump left office. And here it is.
Guys, but if the stock market goes up and down, I don't watch the stock market.
Doesn't watch the stock market, so good to know.
Now it's in a lot of trouble. Our country is in a lot of trouble. Our country's never been like this. And we're in serious danger with what's going on in Ukraine. And
the 70s were terrible. The 70s were a lot worse. You had stagflation, which is high inflation, high unemployment. Right now, our unemployment is 3.6%, which is virtual full employment.
With Russia.
I don't have a sunburn. This camera just makes me look red. I have the overhead lights turned off, so this is just the lighting from the monitors.
You could end up with a world war the way they're handling it. It's crazy. What they're doing is crazy.
Yeah,
I like that. That's funny, Tom. Tom says, can we get a few Biden did this stickers? It's $7.72 a gallon. That's US dollars in Ireland.
What about the economy, Mr. Trump? You've been very good at predicting the economy.
He's been absolutely terrible at predicting the economy. Hold on. Let's watch that. How would I even... Oh, here we go. I bet I can find it this way. Give me a second. You guys watch, and we're going to find out how good he is at predicting the economy. Here it is.
So we're at 3.3% GDP. I see no reason why we don't go to 4, 5, and even 6%. And I don't want to go beyond that because then I'll be criticized if we don't hit it.
Yeah, never got to 4%. And when he left office, he'd taken it from 3.3%. Sorry, not when he left office, even worse. When COVID, 32% minus. Right before COVID, he had it at 2.4%. 2.4% from 3.3. But I see no reason why I wouldn't go up even higher than 6%. He's so good at predicting the economy, though, isn't he?
You made a lot of money doing that. Where do you see us headed from here? A lot of people think we're already in a recession. What are your thoughts?
I think we're in a recession. This is not something that's going to happen in 2 years. They say a recession in 2 years. We're in a recession, and you're driving people into a recession.
It's possible.
And people aren't working, and it's not a good time. And you look at what's going on with
people
the stock
aren't working.
market.
People aren't working. It's 3.6% unemployment.
The market is now lower than when we gave it to them. It was
Monday. It probably
was. I should say, really, when it was taken unfairly. But the stock market now is lower than that, and that's a long time. No, they were coasting on our great policy, and now they're not. And they're not taking the oil. They're not using the liquid gold, as I call it. They're not using it. Instead, we're buying it from other people and paying top dollar. It's crazy.
No, by the way, the whole energy independence argument. Oh, is it energy independent under Trump? And it's not now. The deal is, the reason they call it, we were never energy independent. We've never been even close. Well, back in the 1800s. But what happened is during COVID, what happened is our exports slightly went over our imports. And they called that energy independence. So we're still bringing in all this oil. We're just exporting slightly more petroleum product, right? That was 2020. And then in 2021, it was the same thing. We were still energy independent under Biden. We don't know about 2022 yet. Probably far better. Probably far better in exports because we're sending so much over to Europe because they're cutting back on Russian oil. Natural gas is... let's get back to this.
It is crazy. It's insane, folks. And my audience...
All of this is insane. I completely agree with Eric.
Knows I spent how many years, 10, 15 years in the oil business. It is the lifeblood of the economy. It's reliable, it's cheap, but they want to push us to green and whatever.
Really? It's cheap? Okay, so that's why we have $5 a gallon, because it's cheap. That's why we're going to $10 a gallon, according to Trump, because it's cheap. Okay.
Mr. President, can I a little shift here? Notably, last week, Fox News took the January 6th hearings. We didn't here at Newsmax. But Adam Schiff is back at it, saying he's got, quote, evidence of something that would indict you. What are your thoughts on Adam Schiff? Do you think he has anything? Because so far we haven't seen anything.
Oh, yeah, Trump's going to say, yeah. Oh, yeah, Adam Schiff probably has something on me. Why are you even asking this question?
So Adam Schiff is that's the same group of terrible people that did the Russia hoax and the Mueller hoax and all of the other hoaxes.
They weren't hoaxes. I mean, in the Mueller report, it said that you colluded. Well, sorry, no, they didn't investigate collusion. They only investigated conspiracy. They couldn't prove conspiracy because your people pled the fifth, deleted emails, and encrypted communication. It's right there on page 10. But they never looked at collusion. Schiff said you did collusion, and you did. We know that. The Senate's determined that. That was a GOP-led Senate. We know that your campaign manager was exchanging your information, your campaign's information, with Russian intelligence agents. We know that. That's collusion. We know that the Russians were working to get you elected, and you asked them to help you. That's collusion. It's a conspiracy? Possibly, but we couldn't prove it. Because your people, again, deleted emails. Lock them up? No. And then, of course, the second half of the Mueller report was all about how you obstructed justice. Again, crimes. Not really not sure why nothing's been charged on that. Well, I know why, because they don't want to sully the office of the president.
Impeachment, hoax number one, impeachment, hoax number two. Same Adam Schiff. And remember, he said, I have all the information about Russia. It turned out to be a total scam. It was just an absolute
It wasn't a total scam at all.
Scam. And it's a shame that these people are allowed to continue.
I know why that no one is talking about this interview with Trump, because he didn't say anything. So far, this is a whole lot of nothing burger. I'm hungry.
Continuously do this. This is a new one. This is yet another hoax. And it's the same people. It's the same exact people. It's him and his little group. And it's a shame. It's really a shame.
Are you concerned that there may be some sort of criminal investigation from the DOJ? Or
well, we
based
did nothing
on,
wrong
based on
other than complain about the election. And I've been complaining about it from day one. And even Texas just came out. I don't know if you saw that, but Texas.
I mean, other than complain about the election and try and get states to overturn the results and coerce officials, public officials, and threaten individuals, including public officials. I mean, apart from that, there's nothing wrong.
Texas just came out, and they were very strong. The Republican Party in Texas, you saw what that's actually put in their platform, that they don't accept it. They don't accept it. No. We did nothing wrong. It's freedom of speech. Hillary did it. You take a look in Georgia, and she did it.
Nope, Hillary never called any public officials asking them to overturn the results of the election. Hillary never, ever asked Joe Biden to throw out the results of the Electoral College and send it back to the states. Not a thing.
It's done, and in our case, we have so much proof. They don't want to play the proof. They don't want to talk about Nancy Pelosi not accepting the soldiers, not accepting the National Guard that I recommended, which would have made January.
Oh, he recommended, but didn't tell them. See, there was no rejection by Nancy Pelosi. In fact, the first time we know of that Nancy Pelosi was asked, can we get the National Guard in there? Her immediate response was, yes, of course. It's on video. We see her being handed a note. Yeah. Oh my God, yes, please get him in here.
January 6th, a very much different event. They didn't want it. They didn't like the look of doing that, and they were.
That was the sergeant of arms at the Senate, McConnell's guy, appointed by Mitch McConnell. He didn't care for the optics, but there was no recommendation from Trump for 10,000 or 20,000 troops. The number keeps changing. That's how we know there absolutely wasn't, because the number keeps changing.
They were the ones in charge of security. They don't want to talk about that.
And by the way, during that 3 hours plus that Trump did absolutely nothing, he could have ordered the National Guard in immediately. He's the president. He has purview over the National Guard on federal lands. That's D.C.
Most importantly, they don't want to talk about the election results, because if they do, we win hands down. We have all.
It's not a thing.
The information. They refuse to talk about it. And that's why people.
If they have all the information, they can take it to court. And they have, over and over again, but there's no information there. So they lose every single time. If you've been watching the hearings, for example, yesterday, we heard over and over again, do you have the names? Do you have the evidence? Yes, we do. We're going to get that to you. Here we are, a year and a half later, nobody has those names. Nobody has that information. The evidence that they say that they have was never provided. And as our friend Russell Bowers, said yesterday, we got all kinds of suspicions. We got no actual evidence.
People went there.
There's an actual quote. What did he say, Rusty Bowers? Let me find out here. Rusty Bowers evidence. We just don't have the evidence. Right. What was the oh, for goodness sake, it's a paywall. Give me a second here. We just don't. Okay, give it to me. We've got lots of theories. We just don't have the evidence, is what Giuliani told him and his lawyers.
on January 6th. And I'm talking about the people that went there and to also listen to speeches. It was the
Did you have a record crowd? Was it like nothing you've ever seen?
largest group, I think, that I've ever seen
Wow.
or made a speech to.
Well, at least he's not predictable.
I've never seen anything like it. And they were well...
By the way, I've changed my mind. Right now it looks like he will run in 2024.
behaved.
All of this effort he's putting into to endorse the other candidates, because so little attention is being paid to him, and he is all about, his entire ego is based on approval. He is working double time to get all these candidates that he endorsed into office, or at least to win their primaries. And it doesn't matter if they lose. Doesn't matter if his guy doesn't beat Kemp in Atlanta. His number one target gets hammered. Doesn't matter that 70% of Pennsylvania voted against Dr. Oz, his golden boy. Doesn't matter. He won. He won. Trump won.
So many people. Nobody ever talks about that. So
What?
it's a very sad time for our country.
Yeah, it's a very, very sad time. Super sad. Yeah. Let's see. Do I have to watch an ad to watch this? Yeah, they're going to make me watch an ad. You guys don't have to watch the ad.
Our country is doing very badly. It's doing badly, I think, in every respect. I don't think it's ever been so low, and we're in great danger of a world war.
Mr. President, is this whole January 6th hearing?
Shepard Smith.
Who stood up
I can't. We can't. Here we go.
Some large.
and President Trump.
He said that they did have proof, and I asked him, do you have names? For example, you have 200,000 illegal immigrants, some large number, 5,000 or 6,000 dead people, etc. And I said, do you have their names? Yes. Will you give them to me? Yes. The president interrupted and said, give the man what he needs, Rudy. He said, I will.
Did you ever receive from him that evidence either during the call, after the call, or to this day?
Never.
Nothing. In fact, Bauer said
Never. Let's jump ahead here and see if we can. Here we go.
But I said, what would you have me do? And he said,
Oh, this is a 10-minute video. Trust me in here. He says, we have lots of theories but no evidence. It's in there. You can find it if you weren't watching.
Is this about finding out some information about what happened on January 6th, or is it about trying to muddy your reputation so that you don't choose to run in 24?
Well, that's it. It's I'm leading in every poll. I'm way up on everybody, Republicans and Democrats. And that's all they're trying to do. This is a political thing. And when they did the fake impeachments, my numbers went up. This is the same thing. It's the same people. Adam Schiff saying the
I don't know about his numbers going up. Probably within the Republican Party.
same things that he said then. You remember when he said, oh, well, we have evidence that we'll present. It turned out he had nothing.
It's worth noting that when he says when they did the fake impeachment, we don't know which impeachment he's talking about.
Nothing. And the report ended up no collusion. It's the same group of people. These are very dangerous people. They're the ones
It didn't say no collusion. Specifically said we are not looking at collusion.
that should be investigated. And they are, I'm sure, hopefully, when the Republicans get in, they'll be investigating the January 6th Unselect Committee.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Like I said, Fox News took those hearings wall to wall, and we didn't. And thank you
they
very
didn't.
much, because
They didn't broadcast the first one, and they got hammered in the ratings. MSNBC pulled in 4 million people that night. Fox, which regularly beats MSNBC during prime time, Fox didn't even get to 3 million. So they got hammered. So they decided, you know what, we should probably show the hearings because our people are watching it on the other channels, and we don't want to lose that audience.
viewers came over to watch us instead of that stuff.
Well, they've
But
been very
along the
poorly
lines of-
rated, so you made a good decision. Obviously,
they're terribly rated.
They've had very bad ratings on those hearings because people know it's a one-sided witch hunt. We don't have Republicans. The two Republicans aren't Republicans as far as anybody is concerned. They're worse than the Democrats.
They're Republicans.
And Cheney's way down in Wyoming, way down. And they're just bad.
That'll be interesting. I never thought I'd say this, but I hope Cheney wins at least the primary and then loses the general, of course.
Bad people. bad for the country.
So I'm trying to figure out what's going on over at Fox News, Mr. President. They took the hearings. There was a report from Politico outing the fact that the White House, the Biden White House, was sending op-eds into Fox News Digital, and they were printing them, and they were taking them and replaying them for their audience. And then I think of,
Right. The White House says something, Fox News shows it. That's standard practice for all of the news media. And why aren't you guys doing it? Oh, you are.
Over the weekend on Saturday, you'd mentioned that Fox News was kissing the ass of the enemy with the Bill Maher stuff. What's going on over there? What do you think?
Well, we'll have to see. And
yeah, tell us about the Bill Maher stuff going on at Fox. What have you been up to lately, sir?
you probably
Are you solving the gas crisis? Any ideas for us?
have a pretty good idea. You were there for a long time, but we'll have to see whatever happens with Fox News. But I think the people will not be happy if any of that stuff is true. And as you know, they turned off Fox News for a long time until they came back a little bit. But I will say that
well, they turned off Fox News and then they came back a little bit.
that you'll have to make your own.
He said that was going to be the end of Fox News. When he left, that was going to be the end of Fox News because they betrayed him. And apparently they're back.
Own judgment on Fox News.
Yeah, well, come on over and try us. I think the audience will. Mr. President, everyone is dying to know, and obviously, about 2024. And
are you going to run? Well, I think people are going to be very happy.
And you're going to make it big. I know you. I've known you a very long time. And whether or not you run or not, the announcement will be a spectacle. It'll be amazing. You'll make it very big. The way
you're going to ride down an escalator. Maybe this time it'll be an elevator, a glass elevator.
The escalator. But I'm going to.
Yeah, he just made my joke for me. The big announcements on the escalator.
Assume, because I've known you so long, I'm going to assume,
guys, it's a staircase that moves.
That yes, you are going to run in 2024. So
Yeah.
let me ask you this way.
Yeah.
What would be a mitigating factor? In other words, what would make Donald Trump say, I don't want it anymore, I did my time, I'm done with it?
Well, I love this country, and I just love this country, and I just love this country.
I don't know of anything. We have to make our country
No, there are no mitigating factors whatsoever. Couldn't think of one.
great again. Our country's gone to hell, and it's gone bad very fast. Nobody thought it was possible it could go this bad this fast. What?
Well, you said it would, so I don't know about nobody. Are you nobody? Well, that's true. Can't argue with that. Judges agree.
To see, I love our country. I'll do what's right for the country.
Wait! He did say it. Love this country.
So before I let you go, can I ask you about Ron DeSantis? I mean, it seems
Yeah.
like Governor DeSantis.
Ron DeSantis is heating up in his bid to become president, and he announced that he's not seeking, I don't know if he announced it, but he told somebody, he's not seeking Trump's endorsement for November for his run for governor, which is his way of distancing himself from Trump. Ron DeSantis is running.
Wants to run. You were very instrumental in getting him elected governor of Florida. And you're all about loyalty. What are your thoughts on DeSantis run?
Well, I don't know that he wants to run. No, I have a good relationship
There's all about loyalty. Just ask Bill Barr.
with Ron. I don't know that he wants to run. I haven't seen that. You're telling me something that I have not seen. So we'll see what happens. But
I'll tell him. He's running. He's running.
if he did, he did. But no, I was very responsible for him getting elected, as you know.
Okay, final
I
question.
have a
How
very
you
good
doing?
relationship with him.
How is Donald Trump doing? Not President Trump, not my friend Donald Trump. How is?
I don't care. Okay. So, I mean, if Donald Trump dies tomorrow, is that a good thing for the country? A bad thing? Would you be sad? Something to think about. I'm sad when just about anybody dies. Would I be sad if Donald Trump dies? Would save a lot of lives. Would have been sad if Donald Trump died of COVID? No. Would have saved thousands of lives. Thousands. Maybe tens of thousands. Maybe hundreds of thousands. Oh, it's a real disease. But then you still would have had the factor of, oh, the deep state killed him. They couldn't take it. But he'd be gone. And he wouldn't be destroying the Republican Party from the inside out. So something to think about. If you're not sad when a human being dies, are you a terrible person? I'll leave you with that. I have the answer. The answer is no, you're not a terrible person. Depends on the individual. All right, kids, you be good. Here's another question for you. If you could build a time machine, go back in time. In fact, you know what? I'm going to make it easier. You're not even building the time machine. Someone just, Bill and Ted show up with a phone booth and say, hey, you want to use the time machine? You're like, yeah. I'm going to go back. I'm not going to kill baby Hitler. I'm going to go back and I'm just going to kick Hitler's dad in the balls. Get it done. Fix that problem before it starts. All right, kids, be good to yourself, be good to others, and most importantly, honor thy heavenly Father.